What's up, guys? It's great to see you. How are you doing today? I'm super pumped for this video. I'm going to be sharing a thought on, what to do if you're stressed. And I'm super excited to get into it. Now, it's called the gap and the gain principle, right? So this is particularly if, you're stressed about reaching your goals, you're feeling not enough, you're feeling, you know, you're just stressed and it's like almost like burnout, but particularly for your goals. I mean, this concept has been really helpful to me. So let's get right into it and let me share my screen. Um, awesome. So this is called the gap versus the gain. So for a bit of context, I learned this from someone called Dan Sullivan. He's got a book called The Gap and the Gain. So he's awesome. Check out this stuff at Strategic Coach if you want to learn more about it or read the book. But basically, this is what the gap and the gain is, right? And let me do this. Awesome. So there's two different types of thinking: the gap thinking and the gain thinking, right? Now, the gap thinking, here we go. Right. Now, the gap thinking is all about comparing yourself to your future goal. Right. And you're gonna have to bear with me for a second here to explain this. Right? Comparing yourself to the future goal. So you might be like, okay, yeah, what's wrong with comparing yourself to a future goal? Like let's say you are wanting to earn a certain amount of money, let's say $10,000 a month, and you're currently earning $5,000 a month, right? If you're comparing yourself or getting your worth to your future goal, you're constantly gonna feel like you're not worthy or not enough. Your mindset's gonna be from a place of scarcity. It's going to be not enough. Right? Why? Why is this? Because you're always going to be comparing yourself to something that is one step ahead of you. And here, actually, I should have done this earlier. Make it bigger. Perfect. I'll put this down. Yeah. Okay. So, you're comparing yourself to your future goal. Now, what happens if you live in a place that you feel scarce, there's not enough, not good enough, not satisfied? How are you going to feel? You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel, anxious. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel these emotions because there's always something that you haven't reached. Now, again, this is like a way of, a way of thinking, right? So let's compare this to gain thinking, right? What is gain thinking? Here we'll go down here. Gain thinking is comparing yourself to your past self, right? So let's just say again for that money example, let's just say that you're making $5,000 a month. You want to be making $10,000 a month. The gain thinking is comparing yourself to any time of the past. Thinking back maybe a year ago, you were making 4 grand a month. Maybe a few years ago, you were making 1 grand a month. So when you compare yourself to your past, you feel good, you feel accomplished, you feel thankful, you feel satisfied, right? Um, you feel satisfied, right? So that's when you compare yourself to the past. Now, what are you going to say if you used to earn $7,000 a month, but your income has gone down to $5,000 a month? So you go, oh, Curtis, my income's gone down. How can I have gain thinking if I feel like I've gone backwards? Well, that's a good question. Really, the way to think about this is have you actually gone backwards? Maybe in a number wise you have, but what are the lessons you've learned? Surely you've learned, if you think about it, you've learned a lesson. What worked, what didn't work, what You know, why? You know, what's the wisdom? What's the discernment? You know, there's value in looking back and comparing ourselves. So, and in that game thinking, we're really comparing ourselves to a place of, fullness instead of scarcity, right? And that's energizing when you think about, when you think about the things you're thankful for. Like, there's a reason why, when people talk about gratitude journal or start the day with gratitude, or, when you think about this place of fullness, it gives you energy. It helps you to energy. It helps you to stay focused. It helps you to, live in joy, not in stress. It helps you to, be present. Um, okay, so that's another thought. Now, the next question is, okay, Curtis, if I see the value in thinking of gain, thinking this way, because you can't think in both. You can't think of, like, you can't be thinking of what you're grateful for and what you're ungrateful for at the same time. Like, it's two sides of a coin. It's one coin, but which side are you looking at, right? So in this game thinking, okay, you could be like, oh well, if I live from this place of thankfulness and joy and energy, I mean, who doesn't want to live from that place, right? From being present. But if I live from this place, then I want to hit that, this hypothetical person wants to hit $10,000 a month. Like, hey, I'm at $5,000. Sure, I'm thankful, but I want to reach this future goal, right? Now, the key for this is you still want to be, aiming future goal. You still aim high for your future goals. You still want to have that, but the slight nuance, and you got to pay attention to this because this is the real key here, is you have the future goal, but you're comparing yourself to your past goal, right? Like, did you catch that? So you want to hit this $10,000 a month goal, but you're not basing your identity, you're not basing your worth, you're not basing your you're not basing your, I guess the best way of putting it is this, your identity in this future goal, because there's always going to be a future goal. Like, you say this future goal was, say, 10K a month. When you hit 10K a month, what's going to happen? If you have this mindset of gap thinking, right? You're going to hit 10K a month, and then, 1 hour after doing that, 1 day after doing that, 1 week after hitting 10K a month, it's going to be 20K a month or 30K a month, or whatever your goal is. So it's going to be a next goal. And then you're living in this place of, stress, depression, anxiety again. And basically think of it like a carrot. This carrot is always going to be one step in front of you. So what I've learned, and this is massive for me, to give an example, because I'm someone who likes to think ahead, likes to think of the next goal, likes to think of the next thing. And I remember going through this and this gap thinking, gain thinking, and it was almost like this big weight was just lifted off my shoulders when I started to think more in gain, because it was always like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's stress, depressed, anxiousness, feeling not good enough. This scarcity thinking, it just drains your energy, burnout drains energy, lack of joy, it's comparison to others. Um, it's not a good place to live, or at least I don't think it's a good place to live. So when I learned about this, I remember I was on a plane, I was reading, and I felt like this, like, kind of come off my chest as I thought about, okay, where was I a week ago? Where was I a month ago? Where was I a day ago? Where was I 5 years ago? Where was I 10 years ago? And this also really helps to combat regret. If you're feeling regret, one of my mentors says that regret is looking back at your past and not feeling not feeling, what's the word I'm looking for? So it's not grateful, but that's a paraphrase. It's looking back on your past and not being grateful. Or actually, he says it, looking back at your past and not seeing yourself with compassion, right? So as I looked back on my life, and I'm like, okay, that was awesome, but I made some mistakes, or I wasn't happy about that, or wasn't, proud about how that turned out, or when I look at those things in the gain thinking, it's what am I thankful for? I learned those lessons. I that worked, that didn't work, that helped me give me values that I will carry moving forward. And you're living in this place of fullness, you're living in this place of energy, you're living in this place of focus, and then you have your future goal, you see that, and you live from this place of um, thankfulness. Is that making sense? Like, are you understanding what I'm saying? I'm getting really excited here because it's one just mental shift that you can apply really quickly, and it was going to change. It's changed so much about my life and how I carry myself. And I know just a few minutes of listening to this can really change yours as well. So, how do you kind of think more into gain thinking, right? Well, it's really having a positive focus, right? And it can be easier said than done. There's so I want you to think about one of your goals that you have, whether it's to look a certain way, to get like physically, or maybe you want to be in a relationship, or maybe you want to earn a certain amount of money, or maybe you want to have some sort of recognition. Um, I want you to take what that goal is and you know think about that goal as like that's the goal you want to hit, but I want you to look backwards and compare yourself. Where were you 6 months ago on that goal? Where were you a year ago on that goal? What what can you learn from that? What's worked? What hasn't worked? What's the value you've taken from that? What's the wisdom you've learned from that? What are things you're thankful for from that journey? And again, the key, even if you feel like you've gone backwards, you've learned you've learned something. You've learned the lesson. You've learned, if you think about it hard enough, you can really get to that gain thinking. And you're in gain thinking when you're feeling present, you're feeling energized, you're living from joy, you're living from this place of peace, but you can still get excited about these goals. So, a lot more can talk about with goals and what that looks like and living in this place of fullness. And this is something I'm still working on every day as well, because I'm so passionate about it. Partly because, I was thinking in, gap a lot, just personally, and sometimes still really struggle with this. So if anything, this is even a video just for myself to remind myself to live in gain thinking. But yeah, let me know in the comments what was helpful, what did you find good about this, and yeah, I would love to see you guys apply this to your life because I just know it's going to be awesome. So um, yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.